in the Olympic city of Lausanne, Switzerland for this week's big event, the 2006 ITU World Championships. The women have already had their day in the sun, so now it's the men's turn to impress the multiplying crowd gathered to watch this year's most anticipated race. One of the most talented men's fields to ever assemble is making its way to the shores of Lake Geneva, where today's festivities are about to get underway.
The women's 23 and under World Championships dominated in the swim by McClarty, the World Aquathon champion. She was first out of the water but made a strategic decision to go it alone, eventually being caught and spit out the back, and then the Australians really started to dominate through the last stages. Off the bike, it was going to be all Australia as Erin Denshaw out-sprinted Emma Moffat for 1-2 at the World Championships. Nikki Samuels from New Zealand crossing the line in third, another Commonwealth domination. On to the men's side, all eyes would be on Will Clark as the man who came third at the World Cup race in Salford was really the big name to look out for. He had a great swim and out onto the bike course was started off as a group of about 8 to 10 men, ended up almost 30, but they would be chasing Will Clark and Ivan Vasilyev from Russia. Those men all went after Will Clark, but Clark had time to dance to the finishing line as another British domination on the day. Will Clark across the line, Nathan Campbell and Dan Wilson finishing off in third.
Defending world champion Peter Robertson is a man on a mission here in Lausanne with his eye set on winning his 4th world crown, a feat only one other athlete has ever accomplished.
The World Champs are always a special race for me and a special weekend, and each one has been different for many reasons. Last year was a special race, but this year can be just as special because this time my parents are here. They're going to be on the sidelines watching, so hopefully this time I can put on another good performance for them, which would be really exciting for me.
Standing in Robertson's way is current World Cup points leader and teammate Brad Caulfield, who already has 4 World Cup victories under his belt this season.
After World Champs, where I was third, I guess I had a little bit of a target on my back, but coming out this season, winning 4 World Cups and another 6 other races throughout the world, it's yeah, I've definitely got this big target on my back now, and everyone's, I guess, watching me going into the World Champs. Definitely want to keep it going. This is World Champs, and I definitely want to win World Champs one day. That was my goal, starting out in the sport. I definitely want to be the best. And this is the biggest race of the year, basically, the World Champs. So everyone's here, everyone's racing, everyone's fit. So this is the one to win.
Former world champ Ivan Rania has struggled with form this year, but has had success on this Lausanne course in the past, and is determined to prove he still has what it takes to win.
The last year I had some problems with virus, with some bike crash, so not good. Wasn't very good for me. So, but this year I want to come back, and I think I'm in a good shape. I was training very good the last month, no problems, no injuries. So I'm very motivated for this race. I like the course and the weather, and I feel very good in Lausanne because in the 1998. I raced here at the World Championship Junior. I did a good result for me, 6, so I have good rewards and feelings for this race.
Taking a look at the course map once again, the men will tackle the same beautiful yet challenging course as the women, starting off with a 2-lap 1,500-meter swim in the chilly waters of Lake Geneva, making wetsuits mandatory for today's event. They'll then follow that up with the most difficult element in today's race, the 40-kilometer bike leg, featuring significant hills and several technical descents on each lap. Following the bike, athletes have a flat, fast 10-kilometer run to the finish along the water and through neighboring parkland.
Well, all eyes will be on the elite men's side as the battle of Brad Caulfield, a 4-time World Cup winner in 2006, his Australian teammate Peter Robertson with 3 world titles, and then the European athletes. You look to the Americans, it is going to be an epic battle here. Taking a look down for some of the men to look out for, Peter Robertson, can he get number 4? Hamish Carter in what likely is going to be his last ever World Championship. 75 plus men. Wetsuits worn, and one of those athletes a little bit queasy to get into that water. Well, you're going to have to be aggressive, as the 75 men have a 300-meter swim down around that first of the swim boys. It's 2 laps, 750 meters each, 1,500 meters total, and we're anticipating times likely to be somewhere around 17 and a half minutes as people like Stefan Poulat and Andy Potts push the pace. One of the young, talented athletes, Frederic Bello, also the man who won on this course a year ago when it was the European Championships. They're towards the far end of the course right now, and Stefan Poulat as well as Andy Potts pushing, but look at the depth of the men going around there. Incredible. It looks like water polo as we see fresh, clean water up towards the front. Stuart Hayes from Great Britain in a great position as well as he's on to the tail of Andy Potts as they come around and back towards shore. They'll come back up the ramp onto the pontoon and go back out for the second of the loops. It is Andy Potts from the U.S. continuing to lead right now as he comes through, the man who led out of the water at the Athens Olympic Games. First out, so it is Andy Potts back onto the pontoon, but very close below from France. Stuart Hayes, Poulat from France into there. Hamish Carter back in 6th, so he's in a great position on what might be one of his last swims. They're coming through back up the ramp right now, taking a look right there. Peter Robertson in 13th spot. He's in a great position. That is a good spot for him for sure. Polakapinko in about 10th spot as we go through. Tim Don in 21st spot, just a few seconds back as he tries to hang on. It is the 2006 BG World Championships, and Andy Potts from the U.S. continuing to push the pace as we have seen him do so many times. The man who's had a World Cup win in his career back in Edmonton a year ago, now just coming to the far end of the course, and a couple of athletes dramatically back through the early sections of the swim, and that includes Brad Caulfield and the Olympic champion from 2000, Simon Whitfield, back in about 65th spot. The athletes now starting to get strung out as they're just going through the 1,100 meter mark, 400 meters now back towards shore, and they'll be coming out of the water to start their 7-lap, 40-kilometer ride. Hayes from Great Britain, well established as he goes through. Peter Robertson, as we said, having one of his best swims in a couple of seasons. You can see the very powerful swim stroke of the former captain of Michigan, Andy Potts, a 2004 Olympian. He had a World Cup win in Edmonton a year ago, and this year he's been on the podium twice in Mazatlan as well in Ishigaki. A big man, he can definitely run. You don't expect the kind of running speeds that Andy Potts is able to put in. What a great shot from our helicopter back towards the shore. You can see the large crowds on the shoreline, and it'll be Andy Potts first to exit the water. He's just over 17 minutes, so some very fast swimming right now. Potts will be out of the water first, 17:14. Poulat and Hayes from Great Britain in there. Marco Albert from Estonia, well established. Hamish Carter in 7th spot, Stannard in 6th as they come through. Courtney Atkinson from Australia, Paulo Miyashiro as well, just coming out of the water right there as they're coming through. And a very, very fast-moving man trying to get out of those wetsuits onto the bike right now. Peter Robertson, Axel Ziebrich, Javier Gomez from Spain, well established as he comes through. Tim Don back in about 21st spot. Hunter Kemper much further back in 24th than we would have anticipated from the American Ivan Rania, just behind the American. They're coming through right now to the bottom of the screen. Helmets are on, getting ready to head off onto this 7-lap bike course, and very important to have a fast transition as some very powerful men in this lead group expected to try to break away on this very hard course. Brad Caulfield much further back than he would have liked to have had right now, 35th spot. Chris Gimmel in 34th as well, so the Kiwi not having the kind of swim he would have anticipated. And as we see the men getting ready to head out onto the course, they're going to try to latch on to this group here very quickly. There they are into the transition zone. The number 1 ranked man in the world, he's much further back than he would have anticipated. We're just over 17:45, so about a 30-plus second gap back to Brad Caulfield as he heads out onto the course. 75 men, and they'll go out onto this 7-lap course right now for 40 kilometers.
The usual suspects were out of the water in the lead group, including Potts, Poulat, and Hayes. Further back, Olympic champ Hamish Carter was also in contention, but both Caulfield and Robertson were both outside the top 12.
Well, he may be the old man of triathlon, but right now, Hamish Carter from New Zealand, the Olympic Games gold medalist from Athens, starting to accelerate up the hill, and he looks over his shoulder Hamish Carter in his final World Championships, 1993, he began at Worlds, while the old man right now pulling away from all of the young guns as he climbs up the hill, looking back to see if anyone's prepared to come with him. Carter has a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth, and a sixth at the World Championships. As he descends through one of the technical corners here in Lausanne, a group of about 8 or 9 men, all with some significant biking abilities, are going to have to decide whether they want to work hard on this course or get caught up from some of the runners coming up from behind. Just a reminder of the Gamagori World Championships last year. Peter Robertson on top over Rito Hug from Switzerland, and Brad Caulfield, the Aussie, who right now is much further back than he would like to be. 04 was Bevan Docherty, and Docherty already out of this 2006 World Championships. Well, a very motivated group right there. Brad Caulfield and Sven Rieder are both pushing the pace right now, trying to pull this group back up to the leaders. Rieder are the Olympic Games bronze medalist. Brad Caulfield, last year's bronze medalist at the World Championship and a 4-time World Cup winner. And so the motivation to try to catch back up to the leaders, absolutely significant, as they're just about to bridge together right now, and we are going to see one very large group on this men's side. Lausanne, Switzerland, playing host to the World Championships back in 1998 when Simon Lessing won. And Tony Moreau right now from France starting to pull away. The French, renowned for their cyclists, and another of the French athletes trying to make a breakaway right here. Tony Moreau is not well known for his finishing the job, so if this man is going to have any chance of a podium, he's going to have to try to make a significant gap on this breakaway. You can see the Frenchmen coming back through the crowd right now as they're on the flat section, and that's going to be dangerous because with the horsepower coming up from behind, you have to believe he's likely to be brought back into this very significant pack. Athletes looking over their shoulder, playing a little bit of cat and mouse right now. We've had a couple mini breakaways, but nothing staying significant as the athletes right now getting spread out. Peter Robertson, Courtney Atkinson just coming through right there. Javier Gomez just coming through our screen. Paul Tischler from Canada. There's Doug Freeman just about being knocked down as he comes through. As our Frenchman continues to lead, he is being passed by the Hungarian Csaba Couture, working hard on this hill. And you can see the effort as he's up and out of the saddle. Greg Bennett from Australia right in there, and the men continuing to push the pace. Climbing once again, and it looks like Tour de France. As you can see, a large group of men, nobody wanting to get dropped. The legs starting to burn, and our small breakaway starting to come together right now. 2 Swiss in there, Olivier Marceau and Sven Rieder, and look at the gap. It's about 80 to 90 meters right now. 9 men have broken away through this later sections of this 40-kilometer course. The legs starting to burn right there. Shane Reed out of the saddle, looks like he's dropped a pedal. And you can see Tim Don trying to bridge from the main pack up to that group of 9. Tim Don, what a courageous man, a past world duathlon champion, and he's going to need to use all of his cycling efforts if he wants to catch this lead group. Well, that group of 9 working incredibly well. The 2 Swiss athletes, Olivier Marceau, a past world champion, into that group. The Frenchman, Frédéric Berlobe and Stefan Poulat pushing. And Tim Don right now going solo. The man is going to have to use all of his efforts. Last year, a 3-time World Cup winner. He was 4th at the World Championships back in 04. The junior champion in 98, while Tim Don, the duathlon world title holder and the aquathon world title holder, is trying now to desperately bridge up again. Just see him at the back of this group right now. The group of 9 don't realize that Tim Don is coming up from behind, and Don is still putting out about another 35% more effort as he's trying desperately to bridge on to this elite group of 9. Just a fantastic effort now, and it looks like we're going to have 5 pairs of 2 in this lead group of men as they go through the last stages of the 2006 Lausanne World Championships. The Swiss athlete Olivier Marceau, oh so powerful, the former policeman, now trying to bridge and break away because he knows there's some stronger runners coming up from behind, and that's the group he's worried about. Caulfield, Peter Robertson, Andy Potts, Hunter Kemper into this group. And as our leaders start to come off the bike, It'll be a 4-lap, 10-kilometer run, and it's going to take something very special to win this World Championships. Hamish Carter into that lead group. Carter pushing incredibly hard. A brilliant go for it out there on the Kiwi side, as we can see two Kiwis now getting ready to head off. The Swiss athletes in and out of the shoes. 10 men out onto this 10-kilometer run. Tim Don has done so much work to bridge up. Will he have anything left in his legs? And it's Mickey Petzold first to leave the transition zone as he and Unger, the two German athletes, into that group. We can see Frederick Belob as well, as he has won on this course in the past and certainly knows what it takes. Chris Gimmel sitting back in 5th spot, and as we see our leaders on the bottom of the screen, the chase group of athletes with Kahlfeldt and others will be coming off, and they are going to have to find some special magic here at the 2006 World Championships to make up that 1-minute gap. At the bottom of the screen, our leaders pushing into the first stages of this run. To the top of the screen, absolute pandemonium in the transition zone. Clark Ellis, one of the slowest swims of the day. He's had a brilliant bike to get back in there. The Portuguese athletes Pius into that group. And as we see our leaders heading out, it's Frodano working very hard out onto that run course. Javier Gomez, Ivan Rania into that chase group. Men who have won titles and World Cup races are now chasing down the leaders here in Lausanne.
Naik Petzold led the field onto the final run stage, but hot on his heels was Tim Don and Gemmel from New Zealand. Back in 7th, Hamish Carter was just 1 second back, along with Frenchman Frédéric Belob.
You can see Frédéric Belob right there, just sitting towards the back of that group as the athletes are trying to assess the energy levels of their competition. Sven Ritter in the red and white with the white headband. Hamish Carter into that group. Chris Gimmel as well, but it's Tim Don finding something special off the front. Absolutely incredible that he could be pushing this kind of effort as we look back to Rito Hugh and Hunter Kemper into the chase group. A minute down, Rito Hugh, the silver medalist from last year's World Championships. Javier Gomez into that bunch. The pressure will be on Rito Hugh from the Swiss as he's racing at home. But it's Tim Don going off the front here. One of the only things this man has not won is the World Championship. Well, Tim Don is finding something extra right now as he and Hamish Carter, and what an incredible battle. Hamish Carter in his final race maybe of his career, certainly his last World Championships. And we look back to Sven Rieder, and now Frédéric Belob just coming into the screen. The men who battled each other at the World Championships and European Championships and Olympic Games as well are now battling here at the 2006 Worlds. The last stages of this final race, Gimmel right there in the white hat trying to hang on. We can see Frédéric Belob right now, the Frenchman, coming into the screen, but it is Tim Don and Hamish Carter coming through the streets of Lausanne. The Olympic Museum just a few hundred meters away, as the two men right now have only one thought, and that's the world title. Back in the 3rd spot right now, a great battle for 3rd, 4th, and 5th as Belob, Sven Riederer continuing to push the pace. Gimmel right now sitting in 5th spot, and the German athlete sitting in 6th. Carter, look at how smooth that man is. We saw that at the Athens Olympic Games. He did the same thing in Edmonton when he won his World Cup race earlier this year. He has 9 World Cup victories, an Olympic Games gold medal. Absolutely phenomenal career with a 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th at the World Championships, including his 2nd at 97 World Champs. His first medal was back in 93. Frédéric Belob right now starting to pull away into 3rd spot, away from Sven Riederer, and the battle right now for gold. Up front, the Kiwi. Just behind him in the white hat, Tim Don, and those two men will look across as they'll see the athletes in 3rd, 4th, and 5th as they run back along the pathway. It's Hamish Carter, the father of 2, right now leading the 2006 Lausanne World Championships. But Tim Don finding just another gear. Carter not able to respond right now, looking like he's going through just a little low period. And Tim Don from Great Britain, they won the junior title today, the 23 and under title as well. Could they win all 3 men's titles? Great Britain having a fantastic show here at the 2006 World Championships. It's Tim Don coming back through the shaded area. He'll look across and some of their athletes, like Hunter Kemper, will realize that Tim Don is having an absolutely spectacular run as we look back to Frederick Belob, and he is trying to get his first ever medal at the Senior Championships. Just a gutsy performance right now from Tim Don as he starts to point to the crowd. Don might realize that he has the title locked up as Hamish Carter back by about 15 seconds, and Tim Don will be listening to the crowd as he runs, and really Hamish Carter looking like he does not have that final gear to respond. Hamish Carter, who has done it all, the Olympic Games gold medalist, is not going to be able to finish the crowd off with a gold medal, but here comes an incredible performance from the Ukraine as a battle between Peter Robertson in 6th and Vladimir Polikarpenko sitting back in 5th place, and now back up to Gimmel sitting in 4th. This would be a breakthrough performance by the Kiwi, and another Kiwi who is going to finish his career off with an incredible performance is going to be Hamish Carter, but the day is going to belong to Great Britain as they will steal all 3 men's titles. Tim Don, the World Aquathon Champion, Tim Don, the World Duathlon Champion, and today it is going to become Tim Don, the World Triathlon Champion from Great Britain, as he used that gutsy performance on the bike to bridge up. Well, Tim Don is flying high above the clouds here in Lausanne, Switzerland, as he will become the 2006 men's champion. Don, 1:51.32. What a brilliant performance, and he did it bridging up on the bike and then ran away from one of the greatest men ever in Hamish Carter. Hamish Carter will finish his career off with another medal at a major competition. The silver medalist, Hamish Carter from New Zealand, 1:51.49. What a fantastic career for the Kiwi, the Olympic Games gold medalist from Athens. And here comes the next generation as Frederick Belob will cross the line here 3rd from France, 1:52.12. What a brilliant performance. Frederick Belob, the European champion, 5th at the Olympic Games, will cross. Chris Gimmel with a fantastic 4th as he comes through. Vladimir Polikarpenko, 5th place, just out sprinting Peter Robertson, and Hunter Kemper, Mr. USA, in 7th. Daniel Unger from Germany in 8th.
I came here in good shape, but not having good races this year. I've been training really hard the last 5 weeks in Switzerland just for this race, and I knew it was going to be a tough race from the start, and it was. There was a break on the bike and I didn't go with it, but I jumped across on my own and I sat in for a couple of K, and then we said, come on boys, this is it. This is how we get on the podium. We've got to work real hard. World champion, can you believe it? Oh, the guns, baby. Kissing the guns. Wow-wee!
The last 2 weeks I've struggled with motivation and getting myself up for this race, and I didn't know if I could do it again. I was hoping that my last Worlds I wouldn't go out with a floppy race, and when I dived into the water I felt I was strong. I felt really good on the bike, and the run I didn't quite feel sharp, but it was a tough bike, so I was going to be a little tired, and I raced really well.
Fantastic for me. When I crossed the line, I remember the Olympic Games. It was nearly the same race course in bike and in run too. So I think it's a good race course for me. And but I don't know. I didn't know before the race how I can make a strong thing in bike, because everybody wants to do it in bike, and there is a little part of chance, I think, but I take it, and I'm so happy to do my first podium in World Championship.
Tim Don had the perfect race to capture his first senior world championship crown ahead of Olympic gold medalist Hamish Carter, with the bronze medal going to Belob from France. Switzerland's top finisher crossed in 12th. Relative newcomer Felicity Abrams stunned the world with a 3rd place finish in the women's event, giving Australia 2 of 3 medals awarded today. While Vanessa Fernandez was the only woman able to spoil the Aussie party with the silver medal after a brilliant closing run. But all accolades go to the woman at the top today, Emma Snowsill, who pulled off what no other woman has managed to do in the history of the sport. 3 World Championship titles, and with years of racing still ahead, she'll no doubt continue to be one to watch. After Lausanne, the rankings look like this, with Fernandez continuing to lead, while a top 10 for Fransman keeps her in second, and 4th place finish moves Canada's Lauren Groves up to 3rd. Snowsill also moves up after her victory today. Young French star Frédéric Belleau was ecstatic with his 3rd place finish today, the best placing he's ever managed in the elite ranks at the World Championships. While veteran Hamish Carter wrapped up his World Championship racing career with the silver medal, capping off an illustrious racing career. But the biggest cheer definitely went out to Tim Don, who captured his first ever triathlon world title, a crown he won on this same course as a junior athlete just 8 years ago. Despite pulling out of today's race, Brad Caulfield continues to hold down the #1 spot, but he's now joined by American Hunter Kemper. Carter, Belleau, and world champ Tim Don were also big movers after today's race. And with that, we sign off on another spectacular day of racing here in the Olympic city of Lausanne, Switzerland. Next up, it's back to World Cup racing with one of the biggest events of the season, the Hamburg World Cup. Be sure to tune in then.